Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Ooh.
Hey there, everybody. How are you all doing? Hey, it's the 16th of April, and a special shout out to my cousin Mary. Happy birthday. Hey, listen, this is Cutler here on the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel platform, the Let's Talk to Cutler Virtual Book Club. And I'm so thankful that I get to spend these 1,800 seconds with you all. I'm talking like this because my throat is very dry. It's just the pollen is just really, really ridiculous. But I hope you all are well. I hope you're doing fine. I hope all things are working out for your good. I'm so thankful that you all have allowed me to come into whatever space you've allowed me to, whether it's your living room, your bedroom, your front porch, your cars, or if you're out walking and you have me in your ears, wherever it is. I'm thankful for that. So thank you all. We are, we finished the first quarter of the year, and we are in the second quarter of the year. And I just want to check in and see how you all doing, how things going on, and how you all handling the hard things in life, the hard decisions. I was having dinner with some friends the other day, and this platform came up because I was talking about making sure that we take advantage of every opportunity to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. And again, this platform came up. Excuse me. And one of my friends was sitting there. He said, be careful, because you all just might show up on the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast. You might become the subject of the conversation. And I said, you know what? Yes, you all just might. But again, just in case you're stopping by for the first time, you're wondering, what is this guy talking about? What is he going on and on about? This platform is about inspiration. It's about motivation. It is about challenging ourselves, again, to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. It doesn't matter what life throws your way. We have conversations so that it becomes second nature for us, not to respond in a way that impugns our character or challenges our integrity, but to show up in a way that we can say, hey, you know what? I handled that the best way I could. I showed up my best self, even in the worst of situations. There was a situation where the server had come to our table. We were out having dinner, and the server had come to our table, and I asked for rolls, simply just asked for a basket of rolls for the table. And the server said to me, that is not our protocol anymore. Now, I've been to that restaurant several times. They used to serve baskets of bread, but for him to say it was not their protocol, as if to suggest that they couldn't do it, I thought, okay, Cutler, you always talk about showing up your best self, even in the worst of situations, and no situation is too small for you to show up your best self. And I had to step back and say, Cutler, handle this the best way you can. Show up your best self. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I didn't ask you about your protocol. I just want a basket of bread for my friends, for us at the table. I'll pay you for the bread. So silence was my response. You all tell me what you think about my response. You tell me what you think about my response. Silence was my response, because I didn't want to say anything that was just going to change the temperature of the room. I think the look of my face may have changed the temperature with some of my friends who know me well. But again, in the smallest of situations, let's strive to show up our best self. In the smallest of situations, let's strive to show up our best self. You always want your character to shine. You want your integrity to be tried and true and proven. So don't let these small incidents just happen in life, and you say, you know what, that one's too small for me to really show up my best self. I'm just going to tell them off and keep on going. No, don't do that. Take advantage of every opportunity to show up your best self. I don't care what it is. I don't care where you are. Life is just filled with moments for you to shine. How about that? Maybe I should talk about that one evening. Life is just filled with moments for you to shine. Take full advantage of them, and let's learn how to handle the small things. Let's learn how to handle the hard things, rather. Again, thank you to those of you. Come on in the chat, y'all. Come on in the chat and chat with me for just a moment. Make sure that you say good evening to those who are also in the chat. Make sure, as I've said in the past, that you get your favorite beverage and come on in. If you're going to bring snacks for everyone. I want to get to the subject of our conversation this evening, which is really how to handle the hard things. But I also want to share a couple of things that I read, and you'll see the impetus behind this particular conversation about how to handle the hard things. I was reading something that said, if you can't do anything about it, then let it go. Some things are just difficult. Some things are just hard. And if you can't do anything about it, then let it go. Don't be a prisoner to things. Don't be a prisoner to things that you can't change. If you can't do anything about it, then let it go. Don't be a prisoner to things you can't change. So in the onset of this conversation, as we're talking about how to handle the hard things, there are some things that are just difficult. Some things that we just cannot handle. Some things we just can't get our minds around. Some things we just can't get our hands around. So when things become, when they get to the point that you can't do anything about them, learn to let them go. You know, I grew up in a time when people said, well, just take it, just put it on the altar. But learn to let things go. And I think I need to let that sit with us, and we need to sit in that for a while, that there's some things we just can't handle. That is what that whole serenity prayer is all about. Knowing the things that you can't change, knowing the things that you just have no influence over. Having the serenity to accept the things that you cannot change, the courage to change the things that you can, and the wisdom to know the difference between what you can change and what you can't change, and then don't wrestle with it. When there are things that I know that I can't change, I don't wrestle with them. I've learned over the course of my short life, almost 60 years, I've learned over the course of my life that there are some things that I just can't handle, some things that I just can't deal with, some things that I have no influence over. They're too big. And so you just learn to let them go, because as the saying says, you don't want to be a prisoner to things that you can't change. That sometimes goes for people that you can't change. It sometimes goes for people that you can't change. I want you to think about that. Annie Cutler's good to see you. Linda's good to see you. Marissa's so good to see you. I want you all to think about that. And then I want to go to this other quote. This is the one that really serves as the impetus for our conversation. This is the one that serves as the impetus for our conversation. Denmo, you know I was going to talk about that dinner that we were all having. But when we talk about how to handle the hard things, we encounter a lot of things in life that are hard. Not just the negative things, but there's some good things that we handle. Some of those things are hard as well. I was reading this quote. It says, marriage is hard, but so is divorce. Divorce is hard. Choose your hard. Choose which hard you'll deal with. Listen to this. Obesity is hard. Fit is hard. Choose your hard. We're going to talk about how to handle these hard things, because we get to make a choice. And once you decide what is important, once you decide what becomes a priority for you, you decide how you're going to handle it. So you choose what to handle, and then you decide how you're going to handle. Being in debt is hard. Being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your hard. And I know for some of us, these things now have become second nature. And you say, no, that's not so hard for me, Cutler. Well, for some people, it is. And so we have to be considerate of that thing. Communication is hard. Not communicating is hard. So for me, it would be a matter of, communication is not that difficult for me, but for some people, communication is hard because it calls you out of your comfort zone. Some people don't like to communicate. Some people are not always comfortable communicating. But from my perspective, not communicating is hard. Again, choose your hard. Life will never be, this is the rest of the quote, life will never be easy. It will always be hard. But we can choose our hard wisely. Make sense? So let's talk about how to handle these hard things, you all. Let's talk about how to handle them. Because everything that we encounter, everything that we deal with, everything that comes our way is not going to be easy. It's not going to be a rose bed of ease. There are some difficult decisions. There's some difficult days. There's some difficult situations. There's some difficult people. So how do we handle these hard things? How do we deal with it? I want us to be mindful about this. Because when you are experiencing a tough time in life, and when life seems particularly difficult, the question is, what do I do to get through the hard stuff? What do I do to get through the rough roads? What do I do to get across these hurdles? And whether you're in the middle of a stressful situation, whether you're feeling anxious about things from your past, when you know how to handle it, you can find some kind of relief. No matter what you're dealing with, when you have a plan and a strategy to handle it, it helps you get some kind of relief. What is the one thing? What is the first thing I would suggest? I would suggest never sitting on something silently. I don't believe in suffering in silence. So, Cutler, what do you mean? I better to talk to someone. Get it out. Talk about it. Handling the hard things in life, they don't have to be done on your own. No man, woman, boy, or girl is an island unto himself. You were not created to suffer alone. You were not necessarily created to suffer. I'm not suggesting that, but you were not necessarily created to do life alone. And that has nothing to do with your marital status. That has just everything to do with this thing that we call a humanity. Learn how to share your anxieties, your worries, and your woes with someone that you can trust, a friend or a family member. Well, Cutler, what's the benefit what is the benefit of doing that? Well, the benefit of doing that, you are, is that it takes some of the pressure off your shoulders. It takes the weight off of you. It helps you to handle what you're dealing with. When you can share it with someone who are really helping you to carry that proverbial load, they may just be a shoulder for you to cry on, or an ear for you to, they just may be the shoulder for you to cry on, or an ear to listen to what you have to say. But they may get in there and do something about it. They may help you carry it. They might have some advice that you find helpful and useful. Sometimes we don't know how to handle the hard stuff because we don't really know to talk to people. We don't think about talking to people. We think, oh, I can handle this on my own. I can do this all by myself. I've got this. Sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. You might find it helpful to talk to people about it. Talk to somebody that you can trust. Talk to somebody who you think can give you some kind of guidance or advice to help you get through what you're dealing with. And even if it's not a friend or family member, it could be someone who's a professional doing what they do. Someone who specializes in what you're going through. People who have the educational background, the wisdom, and the experience. I want you to think about that. How to handle the hard things. The first thing Cutler suggested was to talk to somebody. Think about how many times you or someone that you know have suffered, literally suffered in silence because it was too uncomfortable to talk about. Well, you heard me read just a few moments ago that communication is hard. Communicating is hard, but not communicating can be hard as well. Learn to talk to somebody. And of course, you all know I'm a big proponent of this. And I'm looking for I have some of those right here. But I'm a big proponent of, hang on, writing stuff down. Just write stuff down, you all. I sometimes talk about journaling, but even if you don't journal, my advice is that you just learn to write things down. It's one of the most widely recommended ways to handle the hard things because you get to talk about it. You get to express your emotions. You get to express your feelings. You get to talk about what you think is working, what you think is not working. You get to talk about what's bothering you, what's troubling you, what's weighing you down. Don't worry about how it sounds. Just write it. You don't have to worry about the spelling. You don't have to worry about the grammar. You don't have to worry about the syntax. You don't have to worry about any of that. Nobody sees it but you. Just write it down. Because it establishes a base for you to build on. You could go back to that space and say, you know what? I handled that. I made it through it. I got over it. I made it to the other side of through. So learn how to write things down. That's one way of handling the hard things. I'm telling you, people sometimes look at me and they say, "You talk about writing so much. Do you really do it?" Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. And then while you're talking to other people, while you're writing things down, don't forget to engage in self-love. Take care of yourself. You're the only one who has to be able to look yourself in the mirror after you deal with what you dealt with. You're the only one who has to look yourself in the face after you went through what you went through. So you have to give yourself permission to leave some situations that make you feel stressed, that make you feel anxiety, that make you feel worried, that make you feel worn out, that make you feel exhausted. You have to give yourself permission to leave some of those situations. That's why I open with the very first quote that I open with, the one that says, if you can't do anything about it, then let it go. That's a part of self-love. I love myself too much to carry some of the things that I can't do anything about. I love myself too much to stress myself over the things that I cannot handle. That's self-love, learning to let things go. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, know when to walk away and know when to run. You have to know how to do those things that make you feel good, even if it's only to give you a brief reprieve. Engage in those things whereby you express self-love and self-care, self-concern, self-building up, self-not tearing down. That's how you handle the hard things. That's how you handle the hard things. And in the midst of that, loving yourself and caring for yourself, learn how to take a break. Sometimes you just need to get up and walk away for a few moments, for a few minutes, for a few days. Don't feel like you've got to slug right on through it. You've got to stay there. You've got to wade through the mud. Don't feel like that. Sometimes you need to say, I'm giving myself permission to take a break. I'm giving myself permission to table this discussion. I'm giving myself permission to pause, to halt, to wait. Take a break. That's one way you handle the hard things. Give yourself permission to take a break. And sometimes we let people build us up. They build up our adrenaline. Our adrenaline gets to flowing, and we think that we're sometimes uncontrollable. But think about this, y'all. If you're in a stressful conversation, a heated conversation, it is okay. Understand that it is okay if you leave the room. If you say, I need to take a break, I need to excuse myself, I need to dismiss myself from this for a moment. Walk away and regain your composure. There's nothing wrong with that. I wish we could stress that to our young people. I wish we could stress it so much to say there is nothing wrong with walking away from a conversation to regain your composure. Within the context of social media, it happens all the time, or these text messages, group chats. I don't know about y'all, but for me, sometimes those can be so overwhelming. You all know that recently my grandmother passed, and I was just bombarded with text messages. Some I haven't even looked at, and some I haven't even returned. Because emotionally wrestling with her passing. And then in real time, dealing with all the things that I knew I would have to do. I probably looked cool, calm, and collected to so many people. But there was a degree of stress that was happening. And with the text messages, I knew I couldn't handle all of them. I couldn't respond to all of them. And I gave myself permission to take a break. I gave myself permission to just let some of them go. In group chat situations, give yourself permission to leave the chat. Give yourself permission to take a break. Ask yourself now, what do I need to take a break from? Is there anything going on in my life that's stressing me out that I need to take a break from? Take a break from it. Sometimes it means removing yourself from a particular environment. And I mean that literally. Sometimes you might have to get from and remove yourself from an environment where you were stressed, where you were exhausted, where you were tired, where you were frustrated. Learn how to take a break. And right on the heels of self-love, learn how to be nice to yourself. But let me go back. Let me go back for just a moment to taking a break. I had a few friends who said, "Hey," a few family members and friends who said, "I didn't hear from you." And I said to them, "I'm so sorry, but I had to step away. Do you want me to go and find your message?" And they said, "You know what? It was all right. That's okay. I understand. When you talk, people will understand. Talk about what you're going through." Because what I realized that when I talked to them and when they finally heard my voice, not only did they hear my voice, but they felt my heart and they helped carry the load. Be thankful for people who are there to help carry your load. Didn't I say that we weren't created to carry the hard stuff alone? I meant it from the bottom of my heart. I meant it from the expression. I meant it from the transparency of what I recently have dealt with. Cutler, how else do you suggest that we handle the hard things? Be nice to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be forgiving to yourself. It's important because how you talk to yourself matters. What you say to yourself matters. What you permit yourself to do, it matters. And one of the things that you want to say when you're dealing with hard things, when you're dealing with hard times, when you're dealing with difficult situations and difficult people and difficult circumstances and difficult scenarios, one of the things that you want to do is make sure that you use positive words when you talk to and or about yourself. Because when you use positive words to talk to and to talk about yourself, it helps you to overcome these negative thoughts that you sometimes deal with. It really does. So we have to learn to talk to ourselves in a positive way. Think of the positive things that you want to say. And that is why we often would engage in that whole situation that was called word guard. Because positive talk, it helps to make you feel good about yourself and the things that you're going through in life. It's like having this little optimistic voice standing on your shoulder, whispering to you that says, look on the bright side, that says, I'm doing the best I can, that says, I can make it through what I'm going through. Whether I'm on an exam or in school or taking an exam or test on the job, I can totally get through what I'm dealing with. And if you're not feeling 100%, you can say, hey, listen, I don't feel great right now, but things could be worse. That's positive self-talk. And that's what you want to engage in. And the more you practice it, the more you will do it. And the more you do it, the more you will become it. The more you say it, you will do the more you say it, you will do it. And the more you do it, you will become it. So you have to just learn, listen to what you're saying. Hear that inner voice inside and ask yourself, is this a positive message? And learn how to make notes each day. Write a positive note to yourself. Sometimes you have to challenge yourself with your positive self-talk. I don't want to get caught up on that because in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, how many times do we speak so negatively to ourselves and about ourselves? How much do we talk down to ourselves? How much do we engage in self-doubt about the things that we deal with, the things that we want to do, and the things that we're planning to do? Let's learn how to engage in positive self-talk. Let's do that. Well, Color, what else do you suggest to us? Well, yeah, in terms of how to deal with the hard stuff in life, sometimes not only must you write down what you're going through or journal, sometimes you have to make a list of the things that you need to do. It helps you to prioritize. It helps you to keep track of what's going on. It helps you with time management. You can't do everything, not at the same time. You just can't do it. Sometimes you have to make a list of the things that you want to do, the things that you need to do, the things that need to get done. Just got to make a list. We don't always want to do that, but it is so helpful to make a list of the things that you need to get done. Work out a schedule. I remember when I was an undergraduate many years ago, and I made a schedule from Sunday to Saturday. And it started at 7 a.m. because I didn't always get up at 7 a.m., but I made a schedule from Sunday to Saturday from 7 a.m., I think, until 11 p.m. because I tried to be in bed by 11 p.m. But I was an undergraduate, and I counted for every hour in the day, Sunday through Saturday. And it helped me with time management. It helped me with knowing what was important. It helped me with knowing what were the priorities in my life. And sometimes if I needed to shift something, I could shift it because I saw it on my schedule and it was easy for me to shift it. Make a list of the things that you need to get done. Work out a schedule that will help you to get there. And while you're scheduling, don't forget to schedule some time for fun and relaxation. For me, that was in the days of, I think it was A Different World and maybe The Cosby Show. I can't remember. But yes. And so I would make sure on certain days of the week or evenings of the week, I would make sure that I wrote TV time. I didn't write a lot of TV time, but I didn't take a lot of TV time, but I wrote it in there. So I had my class time, my laundry time, my eating time, my TV time. I had time for all of that. My prayer time, my meditation time, I put all of that on the schedule. And I put it on the wall to remind me this is what's important. Color, what else do we do to handle the hard times? Think about the big picture. What do you mean? Learn how to put things in perspective. Because when you're going through a stressful situation, one of the things that you want to ask yourself is, how important is this to me? How important is what I'm trying to handle? If I can't do anything about it, I need to let it go. How important is it? When I wake up in the morning, will it matter? When I get to this point next week, will this moment matter? Will what I'm trying to handle, will it matter this time next week? What's in my mind? What's in my head? What's in my hands? What's in my heart? Will that thing matter when I wake up in the morning? Sometimes you have to ask yourself that. Because if it will not matter, why bother to try and handle it? And for some of the things, if you really want to find out if they are important, you have to say, will it matter this time next year? Will this matter in 5 years? And some of the immediate things that we try to handle, y'all, in 5 years, they won't matter. In 1 year, they won't matter. Some of the people that we're trying to corral and pull and coerce into our lives, it will not matter whether they're here or not in 1 week and 1 month and 1 year. That's called putting things into perspective. Think about the big picture. Is it going to matter? For me, the one that I usually gauge the most is, will it matter when I wake up tomorrow? And if it's not going to matter, try to release it. I always have stories. I remember when I first started teaching in the Washington, D.C. area, when I finished my undergraduate, got my undergraduate degree, I taught at the Washington School of Secretaries in Washington, D.C. They had these computer systems, and I taught that class. I taught a few others as well. But excuse me, there was an administrative assistant who worked there. And one of the things I used to hear her often say to people when they would try to come to her with gossip, she said, okay, so tell me, how is that going to make a difference in my life one way or the other? I thought it was very coy and sometimes smart alecky kind of response, but it made sense to me. She was saying, what you're trying to say to me is not important enough to me for you to bring it to me. She was saying, in the big picture, in the full scheme of things, I chuckled and joked her about that so many times, but I got it. And that was so many years ago. I think almost 40, over 40 years ago. Not quite 40 years. Well, almost, yeah, almost 40 years ago, 36 years ago. And I thought, wow, I used to laugh at her for saying it, but it makes so much sense now. Learn to put things in perspective. I'm just trying to help us show up our best self, even in the worst of situations. I'm trying to motivate us to learn how to handle these hard things that we sometimes that we have to handle in life. I told y'all, listen, when I finish talking, I need to go and get some water because my throat is very dry. But focus on the big picture. Focus on the positive. Learn to be grateful. Learn to be grateful. And don't sweat the small stuff. And don't sweat the small stuff. Learn how to handle these hard things. Be grateful and don't sweat the small stuff. Can I say thank you for allowing me to share this time with you all? It has reminded me of so many things. As you all probably noticed, while I was very reflective while having this conversation and while sharing with you, I thank you all so much. But I was thinking of so many things while having this conversation. That's why I had to stop, pause from time to time. And it just struck a responsive chord with me when I said it. The piece about when I wake up in the morning, will it matter? Will it matter? If it will matter, I need to learn how to handle it. If it will not matter, I need to learn how to let it go. I gotta go, y'all. I gotta get out of here. Thank you all for sharing this space with me. Let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. Stay safe. Stay sane. Drink plenty of water. Try to avoid the pollen if you can. And please know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Thank you all. And until the next time we talk, do me a favor. Tell somebody, come on and let's talk to Cutler. I promise y'all the next time I see you, I will be hydrated. That's what I'm trying to say. I thought I was pretty hydrated now, but clearly not hydrated enough to talk above this level, because if I talk above this level, it's really going to offset my sinus cavities. I got to get out of here, y'all. Listen, until the next time I see you all, good night.